Bam, bam, bam. He or she said, cancel this damn show. They hate it. What? Hold on. Wait a minute.
Make black hair great again.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Now, woo.
We're coming. Get our check.
Cheryl Morrow, the one, the only, the hair oracle.
Well, I did it with Red Dot, and then we also had a cosmetology school instructor in the chat, Miss Denise West, Michelle Allen, Miss Foster. Dang, I missed your name. It's always nice to see Miss Foster in the chat. Michelle Allen, you know how much we love you too.
What? About a whole lot of peace. Cheryl, you order that in a bag of chips. Let me do your heart. What's happening, blacks? Hey, how y'all doing out there? It's Happy Black History Month. We should just say that every time, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Let's say every time Happy Black, because it's 24/7.
Since it's in our hands, you know.
I mean, you can't get more. I mean, you know, I'm just saying. So, anywho, Happy Black History Month, and welcome everybody to the dumbest shit that people say about black hair. Y'all know who it is, right? It's me, your homegirl Ladosha, Wright, aka Key Lolo, coming to you live and direct from Sub-Zero, Cleveland, Ohio. It's freezing here in Cleveland, and then right over there, y'all, you can tell by the sunshine, she's not where I am. That's right. It's the one and only Cheryl Morrow, aka the Hair Oracle. I'm jealous. I'm feeling some kind of
you
way.
know, we got a little break from the rain. You know, we had some rain. Everybody was acting like, oh my God, you should stay home. It's gonna rain.
Look at my face. Man, it's so cold here.
Look at my
face. I mean, it's freezing. I mean, we got a lot. We got a little, it wasn't a whole lot of snow, but now we're not used to the snow like it used to be back in the day. So every time we get just a little snow, we're like, oh my God. So I went to the grocery store on Saturday, so I didn't have to come out on Sunday. Yeah, no, so we're getting kind of spoiled. We're nowhere near California. But anywho, yeah, you know how it is. What's happening, weekend? What's going on? Kay, how you doing, Theo? What's happening? Of course, LB is off today. So I was with the grandbaby. Yes, I was with my granddaughter, Miss Kennedy. And she was like a little fussy, you know, blossom to beauty. I'm looking for you. I need you in my life. I think I must have the wrong phone number. Can you reach out to me? That's a good thing about social media. You get to connect with people who you just love so much. What's up, Bentu? I see you over there. And Jay, you know, I need some new photography because Cheryl, she getting on my selfies. But I don't want to take pictures with this metal mouth. I can't stand this.
All right, well, keep your mouth closed and just grin.
Jay, can you help me take really nice photos without showing these ugly braces? If so, you got my number. Plus, he also did my son's wedding, you know, so that was way cool. So he's a great photographer. So go check him out. Jay's Photography 324. He is over on Instagram right now. And Blossom to be. Oh, you changed it. Okay, then that explains it. Okay. So anywho, yes, I'm looking for you. Okay. She's like, girl, you stalking me out on social media. You know I'm ghetto Victoria. Victoria, you can catch her. She's in the narrative. She is in the documentary. So anywho, she's like, but don't you just put me all on blast and everything. Hey, you said you just got 2 new ear piercings. Girl. I just got these same 2, you know. This one I got when I was like 12, and I got this one I was like in high school, and I was trying to be fly, like a fly girl. You remember that? Remember that song, Fly Girl? The gold fingernails are high post. Who else was the fly girl? I am not. The 17. She has 17 total piercings. Girl, you best to get on off this chat now. That's a little bit too. Ooh, piercings. Cheryl, how many piercings do you have?
1, 2.
Yeah, I want you. Listen here now. I can't take a heartbreak, let alone a tattoo and some piercing. Man, I'll be crying.
Oh yeah, you are a punk. Yeah.
I'll be like this. I'll be like the Tin Man, y'all. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, hey, he cute. What boy? Who y'all talking about? I can't, hey, I'm not a player. I just crush a lot.
No doubt.
I'm not a player. I just, guys can say that. So speaking of what guys can, what women can do, but guys can't do, I just had to. I was on YouTube. You sent me the videos for us to share, and so I went on there, and then this video popped up, right? So this is, I think his name is Hillbilly somebody, but I didn't want to show his video. So here is what he was talking about when I say I'm not a player. I just crush a lot, and how, anywho, the double standard. Check this out, Cheryl. Y'all get ready. Here you go. Conception begins at erection act.
I'm with it.
Could be a new law in Ohio. What y'all know about them Ohio players?
Hey, y'all got the coolest politics.
Ohio, come on, Ohio, sing it with me, Ohio. They too young. They don't know. That's Black History Month. Go listen to Ohio players for Black History Month. So conception at erection act could be a new law in Ohio, which would make it illegal for men to have sex without the intent of making a baby. Baby, I'm for it. I'm down with it.
So are they.
I'm down. I'm all the way down. I'm down. I'm so down. It's pathetic. What you got to say about that, Cheryl? That's my son, Carl. Right? Talk about that right quick. Make sure I know everything.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense, and it involves, because at the end of the day, I think before anyone knows that may happen, he knows. He even knows before her. So it makes totally sense. And that is the most responsible piece of legislation I think has ever.
I mean, if y'all gonna try to tell women what to do with their body, I'm all for controlling the penis. I mean, we control it anyway.
But that will prevent, because they are the ones that really, really don't like child support.
I know, and then men, they get away with everything. You know what I'm saying? They can lead, like, women can show that they pregnant, and then y'all get to say things, calling us welfare queens and baby mamas. So I am a proud baby mama. Speaking of baby daddy, hey baby daddy, I love you. I got the best baby daddy on the planet. Anywho, how many of y'all for this act? Okay, how many of you guys? Don't be scared. Do not even be afraid. Men can be for it too, because if you guys are going to police the women,
but they are really. I think that they would definitely support.
Listen, they gonna get mine. I'm going down with this. Listen, y'all know the activist in me. I'm gonna give me some penis necklaces.
Well, that will shut down STDs. It will also shut out them complaining for unwarranted child support. It will also, I mean, it is fabulous. And
it's not man bashing.
How is that man bashing?
Yeah, it's not man. I mean, conception begins at erection act. Could be a new law in Ohio, which would make it illegal for men to have sex without the intent to make a baby, because they just be wild out.
Well, at the end of the day, that actually puts men really in the driver's seat. They say they're the leaders. They say they're the providers. They say they're protectors. That protects them. It protects the woman. It protects children.
Don't forget, it's got that biblical little esque in there, a little Bible-esque, up in there, if y'all all for the, what they call them.
He controls when he becomes a father. He controls his pocket. He controls. Why? Like it's such a.
I think it would just be great.
It's brilliant.
I think I do. So she said, will this controls people's sexual activity? Now there are some people that are exempt.
It'll control his.
Yeah. So of course homosexuals and they would be exempt. Of course, women like me who can't have children, like I'm at that I can't have no more children. You know, so it don't apply to the old folks. You know what I'm saying? I think it would control people's sexuality if he knew that he could go to jail. He could go to jail, like,
and have a very high fine, because at the end of the day, you only consented to the activity, not the act of, and then oops, you're pregnant.
ooh,
That would cut down the oops. You only consented to the act, right?
that's what men always say.
Right.
What's that song? Jack and Jill went up the hill. Stupid Jill forgot her pill, and now they having some. Remember that song? Oops, upside your head. Say oops, upside your head. Y'all remember Stupid Jill forgot her pill? You know, it's
And
always on the woman.
Will get jacked with a fine or a jail sentence because he made himself a father and a mother without consent. It just makes so much sense.
I'm going to post this, and I think all women in Ohio, this could pass. I mean, at this point, you got super stupid up in the office with his super stupid friend. You know, I say, come on,
Republicans,
but this is not stupid though. This, I mean, given the reversal of Roe v. Wade, given women are not allowed to terminate no matter what the situation is in certain states, you know what I'm saying, whatever the situation is, the government definitely has control.
I think this protects everybody, protects him. He doesn't have to worry about, because then at this point, if he chooses to behave in that type of act, then he knows that he most likely will be a father. So he made the choice.
Right.
So
and the question,
I mean, it just makes so much sense.
Right.
Man,
and the question,
leaders, right? You're the leaders, right? It makes
and the question, Victoria's asking, well, how would this be enforced? The same way they're going to enforce if we go and terminate. Somebody going to tell. That's why we're going to get in the bed and be like, I caught him. Look at him. Look at him. You know, women got their ways. You know how women can be.
That means black folks, we need to get into the condom business. He will make better choices.
Remember, after all, super stupid homeboy said the government spent $50 billion on condoms for Hamas. That doesn't even sound right.
This makes so much sense. He's more thoughtful. He protects his pocket. He protects his future. He protects her future. He protects the future of the child. And if they don't want any, then he knows how to.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see if I can get them on our podcast. What do you think about that?
I'm
going to find out who wrote this law.
A black man.
Yeah, I'm going to find out who wrote it, and then we're going to see if they'd be willing to come on the podcast and talk about it, because I think it's definitely something that should and could. It definitely needs to be talked about. So we're going to go ahead on, and I'm going to give whoever came up with that situation there
a bomb.
They are going to get, if I can find, I don't know where my stuff is at. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to get it together. I'm sorry. I can't find my things. No, like, where's my, I don't know what's going on. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. Where is Esther at, our de facto producer? Anywho, we're going to give them a serious drop the bomb for the conception begins at erection act here in the state of Ohio.
Good for you, Ohioans. Good for Ohioans. Boy, they on point.
Remember your Black History assignment. You need to go and listen to some Ohio players, particularly the Ohio song, and you're going to absolutely love it. All right. So let's go ahead on. We're going to hop into our topic now. What's going on? Read, write, study, teach, repeat. Girl, that's a name. Well, that's a handle. Read, write, study, teach, repeat. We need to have you on our podcast. Grand. All right. Instagram's looking good. Again, welcome to everybody on Facebook, LinkedIn. Hello, how are you doing? And of course, your YouTube and then Instagram. We appreciate you guys. We are about 100 and I think we're 45 episodes in. And tonight, the topic is all about natural hair product junkies. And we're going to be talking about branding. Now, we have about 5 points that we're going to go through. and we're going to make this particular podcast a little succinct because I have to go and check on somebody. All right. So the 5 points we're going to talk about when it comes to this branding, because in case you guys are new and you're just watching, where is Cheryl and I at on the topic of the dumbest shit that people say about Black hair? We're talking about what, 25 years into this natural hair movement, right, Cheryl? And we want to know in the year of success, what has it taught us? And so branding is definitely what put natural hair onto the map around the globe. And so we want to know what has the natural hair movement taught you about your hair? Has it helped you, interact with us in the chat to get these algorithms up? And we don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, because Week A is our moderator and she's helping us to get more people. We're almost up to 3K. Can you believe that, Cheryl?
3K, let's do it.
Man, come on, y'all. Help us reach 3K. Hit that thumbs up button. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And the topic is specific to those natural hair product junkies. We want you guys to watch this as we go take the deep dive into branding. And our 5 areas that we're going to talk about is perception, purchase, influence, of course, status, and then trust/loyalty. So I have a video, Cheryl, that I'm going to play, and it has you in it, because I Googled Cheryl Morrow. I put you in the chat. I put you in Google, and this is what came up. Look at Cheryl, like, what'd you come up with? And I thought this would be perfect to set this off pretty good. Oh, where is it? Did I get it? Oh, come on. I can't stand when this thing does this stuff. Now, I know. Oh, here it is right here. Hold on. I'm going to get it. I just got to get it on there. Okay, here it comes. It's loading now. So I went online and I Googled your name, and then this particular clip, came up. And so it's you on another podcast. And so I'm just going to wait for it to load. But while we're waiting for it to load, let me just take you down the deep dive of how Pattern does their branding. And this influencer, because I got my TikTok back now. Woo! Don't hate now. Congratulations. So while we're waiting for yours to load, let's talk about the branding, because style of Pattern, which is probably one of the most recognized natural hair care products on the market. And I think they're saying Rihanna and Beyonce is competing for that spot. So neither one of them are there, but Pattern is definitely on the minds of millions. So here is her take on branding Pattern style. And again, answer the question: has the branding helped you with your natural hair? Yes or no? And if so, tell us how. All right, here we go.
They have a very clear target audience, and they're not afraid of being exclusive. Pattern Beauty centers the Black community, and it's super obvious in their content. Model this by getting really clear on who your products and your brand are best for. And do not be afraid to claim this. The more specific you are with who your brand is for and who it's not for, the easier it will be to attract the right person. Ready for number 2? Pattern Beauty is not just another business selling products. They're a brand with a strong mission, values, and vision. They're always encouraging their community to celebrate and take up space, and those are huge parts of their brand mission. It's clear all throughout their feed. They're really about it. You can model this by establishing your brand's mission, vision, and values, and really be about it in your content. Don't just say it. And finally, number 3. They're incredible at showing off their products with user-generated content, also known as UGC. This helps followers trust the brand and see the products in action. If your customers don't send in UGC, you can easily work with UGC content creators. You can find them on TikTok.
All right. So now, remember, we have 5 aspects here when it comes to branding, how branding could actually help you guys, the consumer. Now, I have made it no big secret that as a professional cosmetologist working in the industry, I think this natural hair movement has just really, what's up, Kefele? And people are in the chat, by the way, so that on a lot of our, if you read some of the comments of some of our previous lives, people like, you guys are really hating on the natural hair industry. Yeah, we are, because they're duping people out of a lot of money. And we're seeing things happen with hair that we just didn't see back in the day. Like, I really have to do a video about the bonnets, because we're seeing some really bad things happen with the bonnets. But when you look at Pattern Beauty, what she pointed out was that under those 5 concepts of perception, purchase, influence, status, and trust, the perception is that product is particularly for Black people and Black women. And they've done a really good job at just saying this is exclusive to Black women. When it comes to influence, she says, claim it. They've definitely claimed it. Now, this user generated, she said you can actually have consumers, or you could pay a person to do that for you. I'm going to ask you, did your dad do any of these things? When it came to the California curl, the mission is that they were into, helping people like love themselves authentically. And then their value is in trusting, the ingredients, the technology or whatever that's in the product and the people who are buying it. So that was her point. Now, when we look at your father's brand, share with us in those areas, because I know your dad did not pay people to say, and I'm not saying Tracy Ellis is paying people, but we know she's paying people to do that user generated. And that's a tricky area, because the consumer may not be aware that that's an actor or actress, and they're making a decision off of something that they perceive that's real. So let's talk about your father and the branding of the California curl and some of the differences that you see between, what's happening now and what happened then. And then I have your video to play.
We have to all just come to the conclusion that 25 years ago, because it was anti-establishment, professional, the cosmetology, blah, 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 blah. And the most important factor that makes all of those other subsequent things that she mentioned is trust. But there's one word that's missing, and that's expert. Okay? So when you don't have experts, you have to, now you realize that the influencers are called influencers, not experts.
But I remember Kefele, I hope you're still with us over on Instagram. Kefele shared with us that he went to an event and he was surprised that particular event holder, sponsor, whatever, of that natural hair event had more influencers talking about hairstyling and hair care compared to experts. And where are they as you continue?
Right. And so when you have influencer, they're influencing you. They may not have bought it themselves, or then you have what we call the user tutorial review of the product. Because when you lack the professional kind of prestigious expert kind of element, you have to rely on user persuasion. Okay. That is the era of what we call the review, right? And so that takes the place of an expert telling you something because of other elements, such as how long it lasts, how to apply something from a professional. You don't have that. Now you have to replace it with something. You have to replace it with, it's use by association, right? Or it's the fashion world. Pharrell is wearing something, so therefore I want to wear it. Or Rihanna's wearing something, therefore I want to wear it. It's a different connection to consumerism, right?
That's powerful.
Right. And then you have this little other layer that kind of pushes it over the ledge for the consumer, and that is what we call the element of pride, right? And so you connect to it because it's a Black founder, or it's Black creation, or it's Black. And so you get into the association. If it works for her, it'll work for me, right? Even though these influencers are making it up as they go.
Mm-hmm.
So in California Curl and Bronner and Soft Sheen and all of the others, they were riding on what we call a trend, which means, or a hairstyle that was backed by technology. Okay. And everyone in that particular industry competed with the technology edge, and then the professionals, and then the platform artists, and then that was who your experts were.
You saw I was itching. She could tell I was itching. I like Cheryl. Y'all come on, hit that hard button for Cheryl. She said, pipe down, Kilolo. Because I was going to get to, well, where did they get the experts from? So I see. So compared
now you also have to remember those particular shows, like trade shows and beauty shows, those were always driven up into the last 25 years by professionals.
Right.
They were buying for their salons. Therefore, you have the 32 ounces, the gallon, and then they were buying for their back bar, and they were buying to do a service.
Yeah, it's funny. Now, Madam Flair, what's up, y'all? What's up, good people in the chat? We see y'all. What's up, Trish the Natural? We got Madam Flair again, Kay Washington. We have some more people come on through. We got Weekay again. Oh, shoot, my boss came through. Don't forget, drop your L's. Jay Morris is also in the chat. What's up with your handsome A double cricket letter? So now here is something that I learned in working with Philip Pelusi, which is very powerful, the emotional connection. They call it the emotion quotient. And so this is where the influencer kind of toppled over the expert, because consumers kind of felt what Madam Flair was talking about. And then also Philip Pelusi in that class was the emotion quotient. And so now we see the expert being replaced for that feel good. And then we, the experts, are in the salon, and we're seeing things like what was that? Who just posted that? I think it was Madam Flair that talked about the bonnets and stuff. Yes. We are definitely starting to see some serious. I mean, remember they had the hot comb alopecia and all that. So now we're seeing the bonnets are definitely having a very bad effect on the scalp. And so we see also where you're making the connection, with the experts and the influencer. So here's a video when I Googled Cheryl Morrow, and I saw this came up. So let me play it, and then can you just expound on this a little bit? I did watch the whole entire interview, but I would just like for you to just kind of take it to another level, given that we are on this 140 some episode, and we're talking about these natural hair care products, the branding, and how can we help our natural hair care product junkies out. So here we go. America's favorite podcast about Afro hair keeps it real.
Brands get into trouble and sell to these large companies. That was one of the questions that I know you wanted me to ask you. What do you think that is, Dr. Morrow?
I think that the only thing that we feel that we only have the advantage of just being Black, right? And when we are creating a brand, here we go again, you bring your cultural affinity to it. And the problem is that you got to bring some executive to it. There's no generational families coming out and saying, okay, we'll, teach it.
You can always. All right. That was very powerful. I'm going to walk that backwards for you, and then I want you to just kind of take it away. And this is really important for you guys, because I have always been concerned about consumers spending an exorbitant amount of money and not being happy with their hair. That is the one thing that I see. I mean, if you want to buy 100 products, that's on you. I think nobody needs that, but it's personal. But if you're still not happy with your hair, which is what we are seeing in the hair salons when it comes to these, the bulk of these natural hairstyles, especially in the long term. Here is where I'm going to walk it back, Cheryl, and then can you take it away? So first you said that in the past, historically, companies like Your Dad's, Bronner Brothers, Cornell McBride's Design Essentials, and so on and so forth. These companies relied on the professionals, the experts, and then they also had consultants to make those executive decisions when it came to selling and teaching professionals to use those products. Then you walked it, and then you talked about the cultural affinity that we bring our culture into our spaces, all right? When it comes to branding our products. And then back to the top, what you said is that we just think that being Black is like the creme de la creme. That is the bulk of the advantages, that I can sell a Black hair care product. I can brand this Black hair care product off of the simple fact that I'm Black. So can you just kind of work us back through being the Black advantage, yay, nay, cultural affinity, yay, nay, and then push more on that executive decision, because I know for a fact that a lot of these natural hair care companies they're self, prescribed, or whatever word you want. They're appointing themselves as natural hair experts with no proof, like they could just say that. So take it away.
If you guys remember that Black hair care from, let's say, from 1900, which is the beginning of the 20th century, we created hair products to solve a problem. Then once we solved that problem, we expounded on that problem and expanded it into something what we call convenience, right? Think about it. When that particular company or person or entrepreneur thinks about that and then actually creates it, discovers it, or invents it, whatever, formulates it, right? The first thing that they did was create what we call the education workshop. You had to educate. Well, natural hair care, because it's disconnection from the actual industrial process of what education is, because it was only in cosmetology. So when you disconnect it from that, well, you don't have education now. So you have to fill in the gap. So you fill in the gap by influencing people. Okay. And so when you influence people, what you now have to do is make up little other marketing tactics like pride. So let's get them locked into not so much focus on what they're selling, but sell the person. They're Black. Okay, so that's the Black element. And then after you sell them the Black, then it's sell them culture, right? Sell them culture. Buying and purchasing and uplifting the Black community, blase, blase. Then that you fill it in with that. And then their foremothers and forefathers companies did not have to do that because they were influencing an industry. So they were busy educating the professional and the barber. Then the barber is the one in charge of all the influencing and the teaching and the healing and curing and solving problems on that level. So you feed a industrial complex. The difference between Y2K natural, they focused on the consumer and they turned the consumer's attention onto the founder and the cultural pride. That element now has presented so many other impediments and issues now.
Can you also, Victoria is over on Instagram, and can you speak to, she says she understands marketing, but different textures can be found on all people. So can you see where she's going with the whole thing, like this natural hair is just on Black people? Is it something to be said that we just needed to have something that was ours and not make, and even though we know textures are on other people, but what's the pros and cons? Thank you so much for that. And also, guys, if you have questions, feel free, drop them. We love all the comments. And before you answer that question about the whole making natural hair a black thing, Wike says there are 16 people in the chat, and it takes like 1 second for 16 people to slide their fingers over, and Cheryl's going to show you guys what you can do right now. Show them, Cheryl.
Pampa me on, pampa me on.
All right, so 16 people. Can we get 16 likes from our virtual co-host Wike? And we know Sandra E is probably out working right now. So thank you so much, Wike. We appreciate you. So Cheryl, can you just expound some more? Is it a danger of making natural hair a black thing, or does black pride, like, it's time, like, come on, Ladosha and Cheryl, y'all bugging, we need this?
Well, I don't understand why they didn't. That is so peculiar to me, because
what is?
What do you guys think the word black meant in hair care? What do you guys think that word meant? Black hair care. Why? And let me just say this, for the economic issue, because we are about to transfer the greatest wealth in Black America to European VCs, investors, and retail outlets if we're not careful, because the word black in black hair care meant black people, black owners, black people, business by us, for us, with us, cause us, of us.
So would natural hair be semantics then? Like, well, how you and Ladosha gonna hate on us? We say natural and that mean black, and back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, y'all said black and meant black. At least we're saying natural. So what's the difference between
Natural hair
meaning
started in black hair care. All black people didn't wear chemical treatments. I don't know why you guys, what is going on with that thought? I don't. And let me just say this.
That was a oops upside your head moment. Did y'all catch that? Wait, don't say nothing, Cheryl. I just want to know how many people caught what she just said, because I think we might be moving a little bit too fast. Can you just repeat that one more time? I asked the question. All right, smart ass. You know, I mean, black hair was saying black hair was for black people. So what's the problem with natural hair being for black people? I mean, ain't we saying
okay, so let me ask you.
So answer that, and then we're going to see did y'all catch it. Say it one more time, because what?
Right. No, let me say it a different way.
Okay, go ahead.
What is more natural? The afro or a twist out? An afro didn't need no VC money. The afro companies didn't need anything from Target, Kmart, none of them stores. When you go back and you see old films, afro products were in barbershops and salons. Now, if you don't want to consider the afro, the natural, the fro, natural, then you can have some cognitive dissonance if you like. But what if the afro was good enough for the salon and the barbershop? What makes you think that no other natural hair, corn rolling, braiding, locking, they were called dreadlocks then. Where do you think it came from? It came from cosmetology. It came from the black salon called Black.
You're lying. They're saying, I can hear them now. They're all lies. What's up, Super Dream, over on Instagram? People may have a hard time, because when you look at the top, the people who are at the top in the natural hair movement, their story, their version, their narrative, which, by the way, you can check our documentary out, the narrative, right here on YouTube. It's for the free, but their narrative is sure that you are lying. They
Well,
say that
I'm
they say
historic.
that you are lying, that the natural hair, that in the cosmetology industry dogged natural hair. This is their
Well,
story.
well, at the end of the day, most of those individuals that probably will disagree with me are millennial generation. They weren't there. And they know damn well they didn't ask their mama and they didn't ask their daddy. They didn't ask their granddaddy. What they
Girl,
did.
you becoming hard sometimes. Sometimes you be a
Well,
little
let me
bit
ask you a
too hard.
question. They didn't ask. What they did was something that no other race of people do in their consumerism or their capitalism, right? And it's ironic that DEI would stand for diversity. What Y2K natural movement did is that they diversified and they created an other by being anti what was already there before them, for them, to them, already there for them. They already had an industrial jump. They already had the distributorship. They already had the lanes of profit. They already had the connections. They've already had their own beauty supply. They already had it. What they did was, and it is always a fundamental mistake of younger Black generations. They feel, and then we made the same mistake with Black Lives Matter. They believed that the civil rights movement was antiquated and they didn't have enough information. It was not advanced enough and progressive enough and this and that and this and that. So they created an other called Black Lives Matter.
Ooh, sure, you just a
Nothing
little.
wrong with that.
You-
Nothing wrong with that. The
I
problem
got you.
is that I want you guys to pay attention to what Elon Musk did in the Oval Office. In the Oval Office, he brought a young man on his shoulders, which is his son. If you think his son will not duplicate what his father did, and Elon's father won't duplicate what his father did, they don't start over. We start over. And when you start over every 25 years and you leave behind, it's nice to say Sankofa, but you got to make Sankofa a verb.
That part.
It is a doing.
Let me drop the. Let me drop the.
You gotta do
I gotta drop the bomb. She said, "Make Sankofa a verb."
Okay. You have to. So as the heir of Mr. Morrow, you think I'm gonna remake an Afro cone? You think I'm gonna go try to do that shit better?
Well, let me just go with Misha. What's up, Misha? That's our new cousin. Come on, y'all, give Misha a big round of applause. Now, let me play a little devil's advocate, Misha. Misha said you would have to have been born in the 50s and 60s to understand the oracle's answer. Now, Misha, I'm just because I know. See, natural hair people are not in the chat. They won't come over on this chat. I think they're scared of us. I don't know what it is, but come on, natural hair people, don't be scared of us. Shouldn't the people from the 50s and the 60s have reached back and did the Sankofa version? Like, are we not talking to the millennials? Are we not talking to the X's and the zeros or whatever you're going to call them?
Yeah. Oh,
Are we dropping the ball? I mean, of course, you and I are not, but are these people, these old school, these old heads? Because now you see the videos that I want me a hairstylist that can use the Marcel's. I want me a hair. Did we drop the ball and not making sure that when we could put our kids on our shoulders and come into the Oval Office and be our ancestors' dream come true versus wearing t-shirts saying, I am not my ancestors. Sorry.
That part. Well, let me just say this. We don't do inheritance well. I'm not going to say we do because, of course, there's a lot of behavior modification because you have to remember I am a daughter of a father. Most of these men, I think Mr. Dudley has a daughter, Ursula. It is very hard for sons to get into in dealing with their father. So we don't do well. I think fathers have a different relationship with their daughters that they don't have with their sons. I'm not saying that we don't do inheritance well, and they're absolutely correct that we are to just assume and wait for our heirs and heiresses to ask. We should be preparing them. But since the 70s, we're pushing our children to be what we call better than us or to have more than us. When you sell that message, it means that whatever brought and educated and paid for everything for that child, that thing is no longer good enough for them to do it to their children. So let's just say, for instance, there was a shoe shine, boot black, outside of the Grand Central Station in 42nd Street in Manhattan. He put 3 children through law school and medical school, but they would never be a boot black.
That's deep.
That's the point.
That's really deep, because when I was in Jamaica, I think I was in Montego Bay, and we went to, buy some mangoes from the fruit stand. We're just talking and everything. Oh, what are you doing? I'm a cosmetologist. I live in America. What do you do? Oh, I'm a doctor. A doctor selling fruit on the side of a road. Listen, in America, that is just a doctor. Me and I've heard. I met a woman who put her daughters through college and law school as a cosmetologist, and they wanted to forcibly close her salon down. And her argument to her daughters was what you said: you're poo-pooing on my business, my desire to stay open in my elder years with a hair salon that you think is outdated, but this money put you through college. And so Madame Flair says she thinks most of them don't want to hear it.
Neither did Black Lives Matter. Neither did Y2K Naturals. You have to remember, one of the things about living in America, and as a Black person, we have to understand that the past, for some reason, is sold to us as bad. And so that's why I don't like to talk about my upbringing was not wrought with a bunch of bad stuff in terms of the past being bad, because in Black history, you do have a lot of horrific happenstances and things and circumstances. You do. The key here is that for us to resell a historical narrative, that this is what brought us here, and that there's a lot of keys and jewels and gems and strength and wisdom and knowledge that can be procured and into our lifestyles and things like that. We have to make a better case for what happened. But at the same time, our children, their skills are getting, it's matching the technology of today and AI and things of that nature, Bitcoin, blah, 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 blah. But the opportunities, the cavity is closing in. And so we have to rely on certain staples like stores, like grow food and things that Black people, I believe, do naturally well more than most races of people. Music, sports and media, cooking, beauty, formulating. We do a lot of things. We also do distilling better. We do alchemy better. We do chemistry better. And most times engineering. But if the narratives in our families are not sold like that, then you don't want to be what your dad did. You don't want to be what your mom did. And so, and the best moment of my life was for me to be able to tell my high school counselor, as she said, "Oh my God, okay, so what are you going to do, Cheryl? This is the time to make the decision." And I looked at her. You would not say that if my name was Kennedy. There's just certain things that you would not say to a Black kid if my name had been Rockefeller. Of course, I'm going to do what my mother and father did. It's not even a thing. So my life is not supposed to be predestined, or it's not supposed to be a heavy lift. Or it's supposed to be a heavy lift. I'm supposed to figure out and have a scheme in my head and try to or God, or desire to be locked into a white corporate machine. And when those things happen, guess what our people say? Oh, you should have had a backup plan. I'm saying from the start in Black Hair Care, just for this to be a story, right? We don't know what the Walker or the Madam Sarah Breedlove or Lilia Walker, obviously, she tried to do that. And then Annie Malone's nieces and nephews and families. We don't know. But we know that we did so much. We found out that we did so much. And so we find out this story about, let's say, Uncle Nearest, right? The guy that helped build Jack Daniels. The problem is that particular time period, but we did have the 60s and 70s and 80s, you guys, to where these companies did exist then. But in the Y2K natural is that at some point we have to ask, because the cavity of opportunities are closing. There's going to be few.
But let's look at what Kay Washington is saying to your point. And I'm just gonna, Kay, if you don't mind.
I don't want to. Well, I forgot it.
But could it be, to your point, when you're talking about, what's not being done and how they're forgetting, they're not remembering, then you have the flip side where people don't think that we have the right to even carry on our family's legacy. Could it be that now, because these are now being sold by other people, so maybe Lisa Price, maybe Miele Organics, maybe they did tell their children, we want you guys to carry it on, but now that it's been sold, maybe it's getting lost. So does she have a point there?
But it's peculiar, because as much as Pattern Beauty in the girl in the video, she says they're selling pride and they're selling culture, right? Mm-hmm. What is peculiar is that when you say that to a white child, that means that you will never get it. It will never be sold. Hermes is not going to ever be sold. Louis Vuitton is never going to be sold. See, so you selling me pride, in what way are you selling me pride that actually does me a cultural disservice, instead of selling it to me that makes a secular purpose? Okay, so I feel prideful that I'm using somebody Black, but they gave most of their equity away, 56-70%, and actually most of the money is going to the white company that invested in it in the first place.
Hammer time.
So, like, which pride and culture are you selling me? Because at the end of the day, the pride in me being an heir of Mr. Morrow, the pride is actually in me continuing it, not selling it. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. But I hate to do, but I hate to say.
I know. But see, here we go again. That's why. Now, Walmart is how many relatives thick?
Can anybody answer that in the chat? How many generations or relatives is Walmart? I have no idea.
Not just daughters. Those are cousins, right? Second cousins, first cousins. And that is the pride I got to get us to, and not just the pride of wearing something or the false culture. That's not the pride, because no Black person will ever own an NBC, CBS, none of that, because that is the pride that they are having to. That's the point. But instead, our pride is such about the just buying experience of something Black owned, and the whole intrinsic part of that. And let me just say this: at this point, I do believe that Black people are more intrapreneurial, more than they are entrepreneurial. I don't think that most of us are entrepreneurial.
Do we now? How many people in the chat? Now we done had a come to Jesus moment. I mean, sure to hit the hammer time on us, and this is really poignant, and it's giving us something to think about, especially with what is happening now. Do we all agree? Do we all believe? I don't know which way to say it. That we can adopt, embrace that modality of being an heir and an heiress to whatever it is that your family own, be it a hair care product or a shoe shine, stand. Do you feel compelled now to want to carry on your family's legacy or create one? Like my mom and dad worked for General Motors, so there wasn't a business, but I feel my son and all of his branding and marketing expertise that he's went to college for and everything, I see him building that for my granddaughter. Like my mom is gone, her books are in perpetuity. The hair care products, the combs, that we could do better at maybe creating, more wealth. It's not there now, but because I'm not even thinking like that. But can we all do that? Is that something that we can really think about in our prospective businesses? It doesn't matter what your business is. Can we do what Cheryl is asking instead of being prideful and just saying it's Black History Month? Say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud, because we're more than just culture, which is how we started this off. You said that is how we get into this pickle.
We get into the pickle. And we get into the pickle systematically
by being Black with the advantage. We start off with I'm Black, so if I open up a Black hair salon, I got this. I'm gonna get some Black people for shizzle. But Shirley's like, yeah, how's that working out for you?
Right. And let me just say this: we get into the pride and the cultural affinity through racism because we have such a low collective self-esteem. So therefore, we like to show our families we got on the board, and so the low hanging fruit to entering into that club, to get on the shelf club, right? It is more dopamine than an asset and a legacy in the long run, because you have to sell so much to do it. And let me just say this, you want to not just the pride and the cultural affinity. The cultural affinity is a tool. The pride is a byproduct of the totality of the result of the whole proper steps we took to make that come to be. But to start with doing it because of a sense of self. And so that's how we end up into these retail relationships that we should not be in. And then which will set us up later, because of course we're doing it for, hey mom, and it's almost like the founders of Apple at the start, right? And people would come in and say, oh, I have a patent. And everybody's like, who cares? The only person who cares about your patent is your mom. They only that little piece of paper. But because it's not really, it doesn't mean anything in terms of the whole foundation.
So, do you think? Now, you said I don't know quite how you put it, but the club to be on the shelf. I think that's how you stated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead on and confess. Damn. I was in that club before I met Cheryl. I wanted to get my stuff on the shelf. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to see that, why we like that, why mm-hmm. we not like what your dad did, where he said he made an executive. I'm going to go back to your video. Being Black was the advantage, the cultural affinity, but the executive decision that he and all the other, legacy brands was to create an industrial complex where we could and network with other manufacturers, we could create more hair salons, more business owners, more entrepreneurs. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Why was I willing to sell my soul to go gold? Why was that? And
Well,
why we want to be in that club where we could say, I want to see my stuff. We wasn't never there, Cheryl. We just trying to get our piece of the pie.
well, I do think that there is there's something in marketing called the thought, the giant thought, right? And so big becomes better by default. Now listen to me. Big becomes better it's a psychological thing. Small means not doing so good or starting out. Now, in the white mind, I want you to understand your white counterpart, your European counterpart, in their mind, big means mass supermarket, department store, less control. Small in their mind means boutique, means control, means it may even mean mom and pop, but it also means that is where it just means boutique. So Sephora started with a few stores in Paris. But if it wasn't for that small store, then it wouldn't have got traction. For some reason, your salon doesn't compute in a Black person's mind as boutique. And that is because we usually see the most successful people outside of our community. It's pictures that play tricks on us. And so when to another person, it means that you're starting a new reverence design team, and that's going to be your first Sephora. That's how white folks think. In your mind, your family tells you other ways of doing things. So when you're on a shelf, in big means bigger in a Black mind. Now, that's education, that's exposure. I get it. I understand it. But because living in an era where big meant Black and Black meant big, because you just had a guest on last Thursday, right? Mr. Shark don't have a concept of big being a department or white department store. Big meant big money in his pocket. It's a generational thing. And so at the end of the day, and social media has made things bigger.
Yeah, it's very superficial, admittingly. I mean, now that I've been educated, because I think whoever made the point that we didn't not passing things down, there was no one in my immediate family to pass it down to me, but I did surround myself with people like Olive Benson and so many others, Stefano, Chris Blue, a lot of Cecily. I talk about these people all the time. Sir Pooh. These people were able to help me, Mr. Dale and Mr. Sharp, since I didn't have a family to pass that down, I did seek it, and I'm so glad that I met Cheryl. But for the consumer, as we wrap this up, go ahead, Cheryl.
Do you know that I have probably witnessed most of the start of the brands in natural hair care, and I found it very difficult to make an executive out of them, because what they wanted was recognition before all of the other executive skill sets that they needed to overcome.
Guilty.
I remember the Lisa Prices and the early brand owners. Very early on, 1998, 1997, 2000. And I remember just what their goals were. And I'm talking about some of the strongest, and they're brilliant women and men. Not that they weren't, right? But they wanted to carry a people over over a threshold that just wasn't there. It was already there. And it
Yeah.
really
That's
did,
kind of like you
you
know
know,
how your parents tell you, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, or you think that you don't have something and you do, you've heard the
Maya
story.
Angelou says it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Think the grass
we
is greener on the other side, but the problem is when you get over to the other side, the water bill is also bigger.
Yeah, right, right. And we don't realize that you can't outflick the slickster.
Yeah.
And the only person you're fooling is yourself, because you think because you're doing something like getting your stuff on the shelf, you feel like you've arrived, and then you're like Tabitha. And then you have people who is supporting her because they don't have the information that Cheryl Morrow and so many other people who have been on this platform is sharing with you guys in the world out there, and who are consuming this stuff. You're buying this stuff. And so when we think about these 5 aspects as we wrap this up,
Yeah.
of our perception,
Mhm.
purchase, influence, status, trust, and loyalty. We're not trying to tell you guys how to spend your money,
Mhm.
but if you're not happy with your hair because of what they're telling you, you have just learned from the 3 points in her interview that the executive decision to have, number 1, education and legacy, and then 2, the expertise. That's why you guys are not happy with your hair. Too much focus on cultural affinity
Yeah.
is why you're losing your money. I mean, if you've got more than 4 products in your cabinet right now for your hair, the cultural affinity, the emotion quotient that's being talked about in the chat is definitely contributing to that. And then, like Cheryl said, the being Black that's not the best advantage that you can bring to your brand. That's not the best advantage that you guys should be using when you're making your purchase when it comes to your hair. And so we hope that if you are a product junkie and you are buying all of those products, you don't need them, number 1. Number 2, but if that's what you want to do, you want to support those brands, like we said, hey, do you? But there are some dangers, and this platform is here to help you understand that the dumbest, and we do mean the dumbest shit that people say about Black hair is that I can do this because what? It's a Black thing. It's a lot more, not a little bit more. It's a lot more than just being Black to sell
And
products for Black people.
yeah, and the Google, they are the Google hair care generation. They learned this on Google. They research their research really means search engine.
Mm,
Their 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 their
sad.
their research really, and it's not that you should not be able to research ingredients, right? The problem is that you can't research the art of formulation. And I think that the mere Y2K natural movement is just they just couldn't tell the truth. They were anti-chemical, and then they kind of they tried to sneak in the twist that they were pro-business and that they were this and they were no, you were anti-chemical. You started that way, right? And there's nothing wrong with being anti-chemical because you can walk into a salon and don't get chemicals.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, it was utterly absurd to
Right.
tie a
Right.
complete
And
industry to only a few processes. It was
mhm.
just so bizarre. So
Right.
bizarre.
And if it sounds like we're deliberately trying to save the salon industry and barber industry, we are. It
Well,
is
let me
because that's what we get the backlash. As we'll make this your comment to speak to that this channel, this YouTube podcast, this Instagram live, this whatever, all of these lives that you guys are doing, it's because you guys are just pro salon, but the salons are the ones who messed it up. They're the ones who didn't want to help us when we didn't want chemicals anymore. So we were afraid to say we were anti-chemical, but the truth of the matter is the hairstylists, they dropped the ball. The barbers dropped the ball. So now you guys are on here talking about go back to the hair salon. What are you going to say to those people right now? And the last statement as we wrap this up.
Well, I will say this. It's there's a lot of on both sides, and professionally that we could have if we could have seen, because of course now the money is in the salon now. The money's going back to the experts, because one of the things that I am committed, and Ladosha is committed with the Afro Hair Science Summit, is to making the brightest, smartest, most equipped hairstyling professionals in the history of America. And Mr. Morrow wrote the books. We have the information. We have the intel. We have the intelligence to do that. And we are saying that those institutions, such as beauty schools and hair salons, are where we can lock in the vastness of the wealth and to invest into our own distributorship of the new informed, new educated, new savvy and cutters and stylists and locticians and whatnot, because it all came from the salon. The lock shops of the early 90s were salons, and they worked in hair salons. And so the issue is that for us to now get recommitted, I think that is probably the best way to say it.
Right.
And making sure that just the professionals who do remember and do have a memory of how things were structured, like Mr. Sharp, he remembers. He said he wanted to talk to you, Ladosha, and make sure that we could do and we could redo it. The key here is, out of all of those words, pride and cultural affinity, executiveness and marketing and UGC and all of that, one of the things that's missing is loyalty. And this is a business that has completely given me the most wonderful life, and I think that it can do it for millions more of us.
Right, because the key word is industrial complex. So I am a fan of Tabitha Brown. I'm a fan of all of them. But the thing of it is that Dennis Richelieu and Michelle, all of them, they're not pouring into the industrial complex. They're pouring into themselves. Whereas Dr. Morrow,
they got to that retail store first.
Yeah. So that's.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but let me just say this. The more cultural affinity is poured into a brand, you know it's white. Just know that.
Just know that. On that note, we want to remind you that we want to remind you that if you're in the industry, you're working in the industry, you're in Cleveland, Ohio, you're nearby, it's our job. So what we're doing here, the Beauty and Barber Collective has put together Fête du Jour, which is French for day party. I'm going to be hosting it the last Sunday of every month at the RDT Hair Salon to create some synergy and some energy in the industry when it comes to these types of topics and what we can do together. We are not selling you guys anything, none of that. We just want to come and hang out and let's just get this synergistic blend of energies.
That's right.
That we love what we do for a living. So here's my little 20-second spot for the Fête du Jour that's happening this Sunday at the RDT Hair Salon from 4 to 6, and it is absolutely for the free. The Industry Fête du Jour. Chill, connect, converse. Good music and a good time featuring the DJ, H2 Pro Flat Irons, the Rev Air, hairstylists, barbers, nail techs, makeup artists, and friends. Be here, not there. Booyah! I'm telling y'all, it's going to be really nice.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody in the industry, just come and hang out, okay? If you want to learn, I want to see Cheryl's products. We're not going to sell it to you. Just come on. You want to see it, come see it. I want to see the rev. I want to see the technology. Come see it. What's new? Come and see it. We got some little hors d'oeuvres for you guys. We're going to have a little teenager from Heights High School doing some DJing. We're doing this. We're living the 7 principles of the Nguzo Saba, and we're turning Sankofa into a verb. How's that? Is that powerful for the barber and beauty, the entire industry? 7 principles of the Nguzo Saba, 365 days a year, 24/7, and we are actually living. We're doing, like Cheryl said, make Sankofa a verb. So the fête du jour is exactly doing that, but we can't do it by myself. I don't want to be sitting there by myself.
Hell no.
Okay, so come on and join us this Sunday, 4 to 6. The weather's going to be cleared up. It's for the free. We're going to be back next week talking about how do we regain longevity. Now, she told us how we lost it. So Cheryl's going to talk about how can brands, if you're a hair care junkie, how can you buy? How can these companies take this to the next level? What can we do? Because we talked about the shortness. Now let's talk about the longness. That we're going to be back here on Thursday. You guys are going to love our guest on Thursday. It's none other than the owners of Toledo's oldest Black-owned professional. This is the perfect segment to the topic. Professional hair care products, okay? And it's called Powell's Barber and Beauty Supply Store. It's in Toledo, Ohio. The owner, Mr. Calvin, and his wife, Mrs. Maria Powell, they are going to be in the chat, and they are going to take us on a rich history of what it truly means to have a beauty and barber supply store that's specifically for licensed professionals, which is going to help support what we're talking about today. So come on back and join us in the chat this Thursday at 9:00 p.m. And you guys have been absolutely phenomenal. We love you all very much. Thank you, Instagram. So everybody on Instagram. Thank you, everybody on LinkedIn. Thank you, everybody on Facebook. Then, of course, YouTube. Y'all just all of that and a bag of grits. Ain't no other way to say it. Sure, give us one last word to the wise for these hair care junkies out here who's buying all these natural hair care products, because we told y'all to watch this. So we hope y'all walked away with some good stuff. So sure, give them one last one for the road.
Okay, so we need to, now that DEI is one of those, is a scarlet letter, as you would say?
Now
it's our moment to redefine it. This is an industry, as the great grandmaster S.B. Fuller would say, the beauty business is the only industry that you can go from zero to hero in a matter of 6 months. It's got a spiritualness to it. It brings money and power and influence. It just loves to jump in Black folks' pocket. And if we can really get that and just understand, let's just get some rerouted momentum, a new code of conduct, a new covenant of code of conduct and behavior with each other. And I think that we can make it happen. And I'm not trying to duplicate the success of my childhood and young adulthood. I'm trying to go beyond it. And we can't do that without you guys, the consumer. So the call to action is not just for us in the chat who are working in the industry, but remember, this podcast is specifically for the consumers. And we hope you guys can see that there are a lot of us in the industry who truly, truly, truly care about you, your hair, your money, your energy, your legacy. We do care. So we thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Week A, we appreciate you so much for being helping us navigate this channel. We appreciate you guys so much. And you know what we say when we're signing out, right? Good, better, best. Never, ever let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. You guys have a wonderful night. You all are the absolute best. I'm going to go into the sunshine.
All right, whatever. He made me sick. I can't stand. Sure, you ready for the chit chat tonight?
I'm ready.
Bam, bam, bam.
Black hair great again.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Now, woo.
We're coming get our check.
Cheryl Morrow, the one, the only, the hair oracle.
That was, I think it was Red Dot, and then we also had a cosmetology school instructor in the chat, Miss Denise West, Michelle Allen, Miss Foster. Dang, I missed your name. It's always nice to see Miss Foster in the chat. Michelle Allen, you know how much we love you too.
What?
Papa Bio.
About a whole lot of peace. Cheryl, you order that in a bag of chips.